The tale starts in a high school classroom where two boys, Nozomi and Yurasuku, are positioned in the last two seats in the back corner. Yurasuku, occupying the second-to-last seat, is filled with excitement over the arrival of a new transfer student. He enthusiastically speculates about her looks, curious if she will be pretty. Conversely, Nozomi, who is seated in the very back, seems uninterested and disconnected, showing no curiosity about the subject. Yurasuku remarks on how cool Nozomi looks even in moments like this, to which Nozomi quietly agrees, showing little reaction. The teacher at the front of the room instructs the students to quiet down and settle in their seats. The classroom becomes silent, and all attention shifts to the teacher. She announces that the new student, Kyoko Kirishima, is joining their class. She motions towards the door, inviting Kirishima to come in. As she enters, the whole class is taken aback by her stunning beauty. Kirishima formally introduces herself, stating her name and noting that she is transferred to Shizukadai High School. While most of the class is mesmerized by her presence, Nozomi sits frozen in his seat, shocked and fearful. Behind Kirishima, he perceives a terrifying vision, a spectral figure with long, tangled hair and a single glaring eye. The terrifying sight immobilizes him as he struggles to make sense of what he is witnessing. The teacher directs Kirishima to occupy the vacant seat at the back of the room, and she obediently makes her way there. Yurasuka nudges Nozomi and remarks that the new girl will be sitting next to him, wishing him luck. Nozomi, still in disbelief, can hardly process this news. Yurasuka playfully questions whether she isn't his type, but Nozomi quickly refutes this, his words tripping over each other. As Kirishima arrives at her seat, she greets Nozomi courteously and takes her place beside him. Yurasuku introduces himself with enthusiasm, but Nozomi finds himself unable to respond adequately. His thoughts are racing as he attempts to grasp why he is the sole person able to see the ghost. The ghost continues to hover behind Kirishima, occasionally moving and interacting with her, while she appears completely unaware of its existence. Nozomi wonders if Kirishima is feigning ignorance of the ghost or if she truly cannot see it. The ghost climbs onto Kirishima's shoulders, wrapping its legs around her neck and teasing her. Nozomi feels a surge of horror, yet strives to keep his composure. He peeks at Kirishima, who looks entirely unfazed, and realizes she must be oblivious to the ghost's mischief. The ghost suddenly meets Nozomi's gaze, causing a shiver to run down his spine. In a panic, he covers his face with a book, pretending to be completely absorbed in it. Nevertheless, the ghost continues to watch him closely, seemingly trying to determine if he can see it. Nozomi begins to shake, hoping that his feigned indifference will persuade the ghost otherwise. Resolute in his decision to disengage, Nozomi attempts to concentrate on the class and ignore the ghost. However, it inches closer to him, heightening his fear. Sweat rolls down his face, yet he forces himself to stay motionless. Eventually, the ghost retreats to Kirishima's side, prompting Nozomi to exhale a tiny sigh of relief. He resolves to avoid looking at the ghost again, pledging to stay out of its way. Despite his determination, his curiosity overcomes him when he hears Kirishima emit an unusual sound. Against his better instincts, he glances to the side and is taken aback to witness the ghost gripping Kirishima's chest tightly enough to alter her expression. The situation leaves Nozomi in disbelief. He wonders if Kirishima is under the ghost's influence or simply unaware of the situation. She doesn't seem to be in pain, but her discomfort is apparent. Nozomi inquires if she is okay, though his voice quivers with apprehension. Kirishima expresses her gratitude for his concern, explaining that she feels slightly unwell. Nozomi, however, understands the situation better and contemplates whether he should step in. The ghost, sensing his unease, positions itself behind Nozomi and rests its hands on his shoulders. He tenses up in fright, his body soaked in cold sweat, though he attempts to hide his panic with a strained smile. Eventually, the school day comes to a close, and the students leave the classroom. Kirishima exits with a group of girls, the ghost still hovering near her. Nozomi observes her from the window, pondering the disruption she has already caused in his life. He worries he will be plagued by this spirit for an extended time, but hopes to maintain his distance from her. As he gathers his shoes from the lockers, he reassures himself that avoiding Kirishima is the wisest choice. However, his determination wavers when he sees her standing alone by the entrance. He suspects she might be waiting for someone and decides to bypass her. To his surprise, she calls out to him, asking if he has a moment. Hesitantly, he halts, convinced that this conversation will lead to no positive outcome. Kirishima expresses her gratitude for his earlier kindness, explaining that his act helped her feel less anxious on her first day. Nozomi, doubtful of her reasoning, silently blames the ghost for her visible distress. Kirishima reintroduces herself and inquires about his name. He pauses for a moment before replying that his name is Tori Nozomi. To his astonishment, she suddenly exclaims and asks if they can become friends. Her excitement catches him off guard, leading him to wonder why she is choosing him just because they're sitting next to each other. She offers her hand for a handshake, her expression full of hope. Nozomi hesitates, uncertain of how to react. As she begins to pull her hand back, the ghost steps in, compelling Nozomi to shake hands with her. The following day, all the students are assembled in the classroom for their lecture. The environment is tranquil, and the teacher starts the session by calling out Kirishima's name, asking her to read from the book. She stands up with confidence and begins to read aloud clearly and steadily, capturing everyone's attention. Nozomi, who is quietly seated in his usual corner, observes her with admiration. He contemplates how hard-working she is and reflects on her friendly demeanor since their encounter yesterday. He finds it surprising and charming that someone as outgoing and cheerful as she is has no hesitation in talking to him, even though he typically remains unnoticed by others. Once Kirishima completes her reading, the teacher expresses gratitude, and she gracefully returns to her seat. Nozomi feels a sense of comfort from having such a vibrant presence in the classroom. However, his thoughts are interrupted when he spots the ghost again. It hovers faintly nearby, but before he can ponder it further, the recess bell rings. Tanioka, the boy seated in front of Nozomi, turns to him and cheerfully proposes they share lunch together. Nozomi and Tanioka have recently developed a friendship, although Nozomi finds Tanioka to be an odd yet entertaining character. Tanioka eagerly invites Kirishima to join them for lunch, suggesting they head to the school cafeteria. Kirishima politely declines, stating that she has brought her own bento and prefers a quieter location to eat. Tanioka insists, suggesting they could still enjoy the rooftop area, which is accessible to all students. Despite Kirishima's hesitance, his insistence eventually sways her. Nozomi, noticing her reluctance, silently apologizes to her in his mind for Tanioka's persistence. Tanioka declares that he will get some bread from the store before they go to the rooftop. Once they arrive, Kirishima opens her bento, and both boys are taken aback by the vast amount of food she has prepared. Nozomi, surprised, questions if she intends to eat it all by herself. She chuckles awkwardly, acknowledging that she has a big appetite. Tanioka, always in high spirits, points out that enjoying good food is a reflection of good health. Nozomi reassures her that she has no reason to feel embarrassed, though he privately questions if her shyness is rooted in something more significant. As Kirishima starts her meal, she clasps her hands in prayer before starting to eat. Nozomi watches her quietly, but his focus shifts when he spots the ghost again. This time, it is hovering right above her, visibly draining energy from her head. Kirishima, seemingly oblivious, remarks that no matter how much she consumes, she never feels full, as though the food is vanishing somewhere. Nozomi silently links her strange appetite to the ghost's presence, but keeps his conclusions to himself. Tanioka attempts to reassure her, affirming that she shouldn't feel embarrassed, even adding that it's quite enjoyable to watch her eat. Out of the blue, Nozomi shouts her name, catching her off guard. He claims there's a bee on her head and starts waving his hands over her, feigning an attempt to scare it away. In truth, he is trying to drive the ghost off. Kirishima thanks him, still a bit flustered, while Tanioka commends his swift action. The ghost withdraws, leaving Kirishima looking noticeably more at ease. After lunch, Kirishima notices Nozomi standing quietly, holding a juice box. He inquires if something is bothering her. She responds that she feels rather bloated after eating. Nozomi realizes this validates his belief. The ghost is responsible for her constant craving. Tanioka, standing close by, suggests that perhaps dining with others has made her feel more fulfilled, asserting it is better than eating solo. Kirishima concurs, expressing her joy at having shared lunch with companions for the first time. Nozomi, however, knows the reality ties back to the ghost, though he chooses to keep his thoughts private. He feels glad to see her content, even with the ghost ominously lurking near him. Kirishima brings up the remaining food in her lunchbox and cheerfully offers it to Nozomi. He hesitates, uncertain how to respond to her generosity. She insists, nudging the food towards him and telling him to not be timid. Just as Nozomi is about to accept, Tanioka suddenly swoops in to eat the offered food, apologizing with a sheepish smile. Kirishima dismisses it with a grin, mentioning that she has plenty more. Nozomi feels a twinge of annoyance at Tanioka, but quickly conceals it. She offers him another piece, this time feeding it directly to him. Flustered, Nozomi takes a bite and is surprised by its delicious taste. Lost in contemplation, he marvels at how unexpected it is to share such a moment with someone as kind and adorable as Kirishima. As they enjoy their meal, Kirishima ponders her earlier anxieties about dining with others. She shares that she once envisioned herself eating alone until graduation, believing she would never summon the courage to quickly make friends after switching schools. Upon hearing this, Nozomi suddenly realizes that she also grapples with her own hidden fears and insecurities. Gently, he inquires if they could share lunch together again in the future. Kirishima's face transforms from astonishment to happiness as she agrees. Tanioka, still happily chewing on his food, temporarily diverts their attention, and Nozomi notices the ghost now targeting Tanioka, draining energy from him instead. Kirishima playfully jests with Tanioka about how much he has consumed, while Nozomi quietly urges Tanioka to keep eating.